Welcome to Spotlight, where each week a guest takes center stage for an intuitive tarot reading. You'll get a front row seat to a real recorded session as we explore the magic of tarot together. My goal is to create a space where we navigate challenges, uncover fresh perspectives, and reconnect with inner wisdom, giving you a glimpse into what it's like to receive a reading with me. Interested in being a Spotlight guest? Just fill out the application below and I'll be in touch about getting you on. Now, without further ado, let's meet this week's guest. Thank you so much for joining me for another episode of Spirit Journey Collective. This is a really exciting new series that I just started called Spotlight, where I'm bringing guests on to receive readings from me. And so my guest today is Michelle, and she's here to receive a reading. We did talk briefly that she wanted to focus on motherhood, and I'll let her kind of touch on that too. But let me start off with introducing her, letting her kind of share who she is, whether or not she's had a reading before. Thank you for being here today, Michelle.
Thanks so much for having me. I'm so excited. I can't wait.
Yeah, I'm excited to have you here. Thank you for being one of the first guests on, so it's like extra exciting.
Yay.
Have you ever had a tarot reading before? Is this a new concept for you, or have you done tarot before?
I love tarot. I'm not sure if I've actually had like a proper professional reading, such as someone from yourself. I do tarot myself. I had a bunch of cards. I have a bunch of cards, actually two decks, and I do readings. But I've never had a professional one, so I'm very curious how you do it. And for me, I'm just kind of messing around and just trying stuff. But I've always found that the cards are so accurate. And I always, yeah, really look forward to what they always say.
I love that. And I love that you're bringing that up because some people think they can only go see a professional. And I'm a big advocate of no, get your own deck, pull your own cards, make it, get a, create a relationship with your deck. So you don't have to be a professional to still get readings for yourself. And so I love that you've already experienced that. Although I'd love to hear kind of when we're done here, like what your experiences between like doing it on your own versus having it, done professionally. Love to have that comparison. But yeah, so let me go ahead and dive in. I know we talked a little bit about doing a motherhood spread. So I'm going to do a higher self message around motherhood, about what you need to know around calling that in and any blocks or anything holding you back. When I do pull the cards and I do the reading, I do talk a lot. So please feel free to interrupt if you have anything you want to comment on or ask on, if you're confused about something. It will not mess anything up. Once I start reading, I just start talking and
You're channeling, yeah, for sure. No, I'd
exactly.
love to hear what you're saying. Yeah.
Yeah. So just don't be afraid to, interrupt me or stop me if you want to comment on something. Like there's nothing, like I've had people be like, oh, will it mess you up? No, it will not. So
Thank you. Thanks for
yeah.
warning.
So feel free. I'm going to be doing what I call my higher self spread, which is actually a spread that I created not on purpose. It just kind of organically created itself, and it's now my go-to spread in a lot of ways. It's 7 cards, and I'm going to be going over a theme, past, present, future energies, and then higher self messages overall. And so, as I've mentioned before in my podcast, there is always a future card on the table, but it's the future card is more about where you're headed as of now. It's not set in stone. It's just kind of a projection. It's not so it's just kind of where you are as of right now, but that could absolutely change. So I'm going to start with the theme, and the theme is the 10 of Swords reversed. And so this is actually a really cool card because it does speak to transformation and growth. And it does sound like you're in this space where you're growing, but there's also resistance around this. So the 10 of Swords and the swords in general talk a lot about the mind, the narratives, the lens we're looking at of the limiting beliefs that we're telling ourselves. And so I like to compare the 10 of Swords to a snake, because when a snake grows, it doesn't have a choice but to shed its skin. Like the skin has nowhere else to go. It's got to shed, and it can shed in 2 different ways. One way is where it comes off so perfectly that it looks like a whole other snake, or it can come off in like by peeling it, kind of like when you get a bad sunburn and you have to like peel it. Right now, when it comes to motherhood and calling that in, you're in that peeling stage where likely you're holding on to these limiting beliefs because they're familiar, because they feel good, even though they're not good for you, they're not serving you. But a lot of the times we've been carrying these beliefs around our body, around ourselves for so long that it's almost like a comfort, like think of like a comforting blanket or something where it's just easier to almost keep that blanket on, even though it's just not, it's weighing you down. It's like a weight blanket really at this point. And so the theme is that you're growing. The skin is shedding off. It has to, but you're it's not coming off very easily because there's a lot of stories around motherhood that's keeping you feeling like you have to play small in some reason. Like for some reason you feel like you, I don't know what that story is, but it's something around not being able to make it there, not being able to get to that other side. And that story is kind of making it harder for you to release. And so I would look at limiting beliefs. I would look at narratives. I would look at maybe even your childhood. Like, was there some kind of narrative around that that's put this idea in your mind about whether or not you can or can't be a mother? But there's definitely, I love this because it does speak to growth. It does speak to evolution. It's just saying that right now there's resistance. And you're just really having to work on peeling that skin off instead of just letting it come off easily. Looking at your recent past, we have the 10 of Pentacles. And I really like this. It does, I feel like in the past, especially when it comes to motherhood and stuff, I feel like you already know that you're pretty good with children. You feel like you're able to connect really well with kids and that you make a positive impact. So when you have had interactions, you really feel like, okay, this feels natural when you connect with them. And I do feel like usually when the 10 of Pentacles comes up, there's also usually this aspect of like not seeing that superpower within you. Maybe you feel it, but you don't always recognize it. And so I feel like that's kind of the first thing is like reminding yourself why you want kids. Like what is it about having children, whether they're adopted or they're your own? What is it that you like, why is it that you want that? And also look at the interactions you've had in the past because this one is saying that you make a way more impact than you realize, especially when it comes to relationships and with children. So I love that. It's kind of the starting point of you help bring people together. Like, and I think this is for both personal and work life. You just naturally have a gift as far as taking like what you've learned and passing it on, but especially when it comes to like children and raising kids, I feel like it's that same idea of you bring a lot to the table and you have this natural connection. I mean, especially when you are your own natural mother, you're going to have that anyway, but I think this is also speaking to if let's say the natural motherhood isn't for you, you're going to have that with an adoption as well because you just naturally have that like role of I'm going to bring people together and that's going to be like your family. But so that's kind of like just noting your past. Presently, okay, so I have the Two of Swords, and this one makes me think a little bit about what we were talking about pre-recording, how you were saying that you weren't sure, like how you're mostly sure that you're ready to hold off on IVF, but there's that part of you that's like, oh, but what if? I love that the Two of Swords is in the present because it is saying that you're starting to learn how to listen to yourself and not having to ask advice. So when the Two of Swords comes up, usually it means that you feel this need to almost get approval from other people before you make a big decision. Like, am I ready to stop? Am I ready to surrender and just wait for it? Is this the right idea? And getting all this input from everyone else before you feel like, okay, now I can make my decision. It's actually the opposite. Yes, it's okay to get feedback from other people, of course, but the person who this decision is going to impact the most is you, right? It's not going to be the other people who are weighing in on their opinions. It's going to impact you directly. And so this card is all about learning how to kind of shut out all the other voices and come back home to yourself and what feels good to you. And so one of the things that you had mentioned is that you feel done with this particular part of the journey, like that feels the right to you. And so this is just saying, listen to that, honor that. If you have other people that are kind of telling you that you should do something different, of course it's okay to get taken the feedback, but you need to make sure that with yourself, you're on your own terms. You're on those terms with, okay, this is the right decision for me. And I'm going to decide this for myself without needing approval from everybody else outside of me. And it's interesting because usually the theme and the present card, which is the Two of Swords, it usually coincides a lot. And with the theme being the Ten of Swords of releasing, I feel like a lot of your journey is learning how to release what other people expect of you versus just what you want from you and what you are okay with from you. And so I feel like that's part of, I do think there's more here as far as limiting beliefs and narratives that you're releasing, but I do feel like a lot of it is learning how to surrender and listen to your body and listen to yourself and not listening to what everyone else thinks you should do. And I feel like that's
Yeah.
part of what you're releasing so that way you can trust yourself more.
Yeah, everything you've said so far has been really on point. I think what's resonating with me right now is how much I've lived my life, and probably everyone lives their life with the expectation of others, even though you don't consciously um, involve them, that you're still living a very bridled life. You're still living this kind of life of like, oh, well, society says you do this, A, then B, then C. And I've never normally lived my life like that, but I think to an extent, there's a lot of that still. It's almost like, why couldn't you go and live on a mountain in a cave? And that should totally be okay, right? But we don't do that. And I guess um, I've been doing that, but now it's kind of like, oh, I'm back in society and I'm back in, this kind of space where, yeah, perhaps I need to stop, start really focusing on what my inner voice is saying. Yeah.
Yeah. And what you're speaking to is like conditioning and programming, which I don't think there's a single person on this earth that has not experienced that unless they did live in a cave. It's like
Yep.
there's no way around your, conditioning and programming except for working on it and making a conscious decision to release that. And that's the hardest part, right? It is first being aware and then doing something about it. And those are those are
Yeah.
the first two steps. I love these next two cards for you. Actually, the last, like all the cards on the table that I'm seeing, I'm really loving for you. I'm going to go ahead and start with the near future card. And so this one usually comes with two cards. The near future is what's called it's the King of Cups. In this deck, it's called the
Oh,
Muse of
it's so
Emotions.
pretty.
I know, I
What a
love
beautiful
this one.
card. Yeah, I love the
And then,
colors.
so this is the future energy. And then this is the higher self message, and this is the hanged man or tethered one. And so
Mm.
this is the higher self message to the near future. So I'm going to go ahead and start with, actually, I'm going to start with the energy around the near future first, because I think it's going to tie in better. So the hanged man, I like to call this one the chrysalis or the cocoon. It's the one where, when you go into a growth state, so we've already determined you're already growing, right? You're already in this evolution period. Well, when you go from the caterpillar to the butterfly, no one really talks about what's happening inside of the chrysalis. Like it's not really talked about. It's just, oh my gosh, it's a butterfly. Look at that. But, inside, it's literally going into metamorphosis and disintegrating into a completely different creature. It's a whole thing, but we don't see that. On the outside, it just looks like something hanging on a branch. You're like, what is that thing? It's turning into a butterfly. Okay, but we don't see what's actually happening inside there. And so that's what the hangman is talking about. It's saying that you're a lot of times when this is here, especially again when it comes to motherhood, you kind of feel like the world is moving on without you. You feel like you're tethered. You feel like you want to break free of this tether, but you feel stuck. And the reason why is because all of the movement, especially around motherhood for you, is going to be happening internally. It's not happening outside of you. So that feeling of the world kind of moving on without you, it is kind of, but that's okay because you're meant to be standing still. You're meant to be sitting with it and letting that metamorphosis happen. And another thing I like to talk about with the chrysalis card is that no one, again, when it comes to that transformation from a caterpillar to a butterfly, no one really talks about the gooey mess that happens.
Yeah,
Like,
that's so
I like
cool.
I like to say that if you feel like you're turning into a gooey mess, you're doing it right.
Oh, that was last week with all the moon and the maybe PMS and everything happening. Retrogrades, oh my gosh.
Oh yeah, Mercury retrograde is wreaking havoc right now.
Mm. Oh my gosh.
But yeah, so with this one here, it's reminding you that again, just like the Ten of Swords is reminding you, you are in this state of growth. It is already happening within you, but how can you lean into it instead of fight it? Because I think
Mm.
naturally when we feel stuck, we want to like untether, break, cut it, break away, cut the chain, right? And this card is saying you need to be here right now. You need to lean
Mm.
into the stillness and let what's happening happen within you and not fight it and not be impatient with it. Really just kind of lean into it. And so
It's time to take a short break from our wonderful speaker. Are you in the need of guidance around love, career, family, life, or purpose? Embark on a spiritual journey inward with an intuitive tarot reading. Depending on what you're needing and looking for, I offer private one-on-one sessions as well as personalized email readings. It doesn't matter what the question is. A reading with me provides connection with your higher self, offering curated personal messages, or what I like to refer to as spiritual roadmaps, guiding you to the future outcome you desire. Readings are insightful and affordable. If you'd like more information or to schedule a reading with me, please see the link below.
and so coming to the near future card, we have the King of Cups. This one is all about self-care. Now, there's different aspects of this, like part of the King of Cups is he's very wise. He likes to be there to help guide other people. And I mean, I know this a little bit about you personally, that that's part of your work is helping guide people and being there for them, which is beautiful. But the flip side of that is making sure you're okay first, because if you're not okay, then the quality of what you're showing up as is not going to be what it needs to be. And I think specifically with the motherhood in mind, I think that there is an aspect of almost emotional burnout where you're not taking care of your emotional needs as much as you need to be. And I think it's because you're wanting to show up for other people in your life. And this is saying that you need to really kind of flip flop that a little bit, especially being in the chrysalis and being in this growth state. How can you take care of yourself and do more self care? And I love this card specifically because it just beautifully illustrates it. So, if your emotional capacity was in a cup, like the ideal is you want it to be overflowing. So that way you're so taken care of that now you can just give willingly without feeling like you're taking from yourself. And in this picture, they're drinking so much, they're overflowing. And that's kind of
Ah.
the idea with the King of Cups is how can you take care of yourself? And so self-care with this would be like what nourishes you on a soul level. So this could be taking time to meditate, could be taking time to read if you love to read. It could be taking time to sing or dance or walk through nature. It's just what can you do, even if it's 5-10 minutes a day, that just kind of lets you recenter, not just like as not just for you, but I think even as like connecting in with your inner mother, like the inner version of you that wants to be a mother. What can help nourish and hold space for that part of you? um, because this is where you're at right now. And so in order to help you lean into the stillness, you really need to focus on, okay, how can I nourish and really replenish myself in this time and make space for what I'm trying to call in to. The next two cards I really love. I know that you've said you've heard this from different psychic readings in the past where you've been told you're going to be able to be a mother in some capacity, right? I'm seeing that too with these two cards.
Yay!
So I love it. The first one, I think this speaks to a couple of things. It's the Three of Wands. So I think that this one speaks to partially that growth that you're in, but I think it also speaks to moving forward as well from towards what you want. So and there's no resistance here, which is beautiful. The Three of Wands basically says you're already in transition. You're already in not just transition, but you're already in transit towards what you want. And there's really no resistance here. So it's basically saying that on one hand, you're still in the life that you're coming from, and you're moving towards the life that you desire, but you're like in the middle. Like you haven't quite
Mm.
shut this door to this life, and you haven't fully opened this door to this life. You're in. That's why it's like you're in transit. So you're going from one version of your life to another, and and again, there's no resistance. I feel like this is just saying like, yeah, you're on your way towards what you desire. The card next to it is the Two of Wands reversed.
Oh.
Okay, so this is a surrender card as well as a patience card. It's
Oh,
kind of
I keep
twofold.
getting I keep getting the waiting game and yeah, I keep getting those cards
And with it being
myself.
reversed, it's specifically saying that you're being impatient. And so the way that I like to describe this one, it's like you're constantly checking on the status of. So in this case, you're probably looking for that positive pregnancy test or that next, whatever that's going to look like. If it's not pregnancy, adoption, you're looking for, okay, what's coming? What's coming? Do I have the green light? Do I have the green light? And I really like to use the analogy of baking cookies with this card because it really sums it up. So when you bake cookies, like ideally you put the dough in a pan, you put the pan in the oven, you set a timer, and then you do other things so the timer goes off, right? Like you trust that the cookies are baking. You don't sit there and watch them to make sure they're baking. You just, okay, they're baking. Cool. I'm going to go fold my laundry or do something else, right? That's what you're being called to do right now. Essentially, this this idea, this thing that you're calling in is baking on an energetic level. You're just being asked to, and I think what's asking you to focus on a lot of is these releasing of narratives around why you don't think it's possible. How can you release that so you can start changing the narrative to it is possible? However, it's going to come for me. I would say definitely watch your expectations because how it comes is going to be its own way, but being open to, okay, I know it's going to come. However, it's meant to, it's going to come, and releasing the parts of it that doesn't believe it's possible. Like I feel like that's what it's asking you to do in the meantime because you're already in transit. It's already baking. There's already things happening behind the scenes. And then when the timing is right, the divine timer is going to go off. Like you're going to be like, "Oh, now it's time. I get it now." And so with these two side by side, the three of wands being in transit, and then the two of wands being like patience, like it's coming, but don't obsess. Like that's kind of the other side of this is don't keep checking on it. Don't keep obsessing about it because that's not a very productive way to spend your energy right now. And it looks like the way it's really encouraging you to spend your energy is to lean into your growth, to lean into self-care, to lean into trusting yourself and focusing on all those things that could be holding you back from you stepping into that motherhood position that you're wanting to call in, if that makes sense.
Mm. Yeah, that's amazing. It's very aligned with the Akashic reading that I've had. It feels aligned with what I've kind of known for a long time, that I need to kind of fulfill upon my purpose, my career, my work, and also my partner. And then and I know people will say, "Oh, but the baby will come when it's ready or at the right time, and it shouldn't have to wait for after your career." But I really feel like for us, that really has to be step by step. So it's really, reassuring to think it's okay to just focus on the career and not worry about that. Um, Things will happen when it's meant to. So yeah, it's really giving a lot of peace. So thank you.
You're welcome. And I just wanted to add to that because I would caution you from again putting like an expectation of, oh, once I get my career up, then I'll have the thing.
Mm, sure.
Like because that's still an expectation. And that actually kind
Mm,
of reminds me of how I read the lovers, which is like chasing the dangled carrot. Because when you chase that dangled carrot idea of once I get there, then I'll have the thing, then I'll be whole, then I'll get what I
true.
need. The thing is, you everything you already desire is already within you now, and you're
Hmm.
already aligned with it. It's not that it's not something you have to chase for outside of you. So I would say, yes, focus on your career if that's what's being called to you. Focus on yourself, on your self-care and your growth personally, and of course your relationship. Like, yes, like pour into those things, but don't put like an idea of okay, so I have to reach this end goal, then I can expect it. I would just be open however it's meant to come in and then just put your energy in those areas that are feeding you for now.
Mm. Maybe that's part of the limiting beliefs, because I remember when I was growing up, I was kind of like, my career was always very important, and I felt like if I'd had kids, this is like my first set of limiting beliefs, and maybe they're still kind of lingering, that if I had kids, that was kind of going to ruin my life, or it's going to really change in a way that I wouldn't be happy with and like overcompromise and be away from my purpose. So it's a good reminder. So yeah, thank you.
You're very welcome. Do you have any questions about what came up, or did you get what you needed from this?
I think it's good. I mean, part of the impatient me is kind of like, oh, when's it gonna happen? But I guess that's part of the whole point, isn't it? So no, I think that's yeah, it was great. Thank you.
You're so welcome. So how was this so I know you read for yourself, and that's been like your own journey with tarot. What's, how has it been experiencing it from a professional standpoint?
Oh, I love it. Yeah, definitely would love to answer that. I haven't trained or haven't studied the original tarot deck, the Rider Waite. I use a different I'm not sure what they're actually called, but um the way you read the traditional deck I think is really interesting. I don't have any comparison for that. Um, and you know how if it's reversed or if it's like upwards, but the way you kind of tie it in all together as a story, and I can see you really just channeling it. Um, when I'm reading it, I'm pretty much going through it from a life coaching point of view and kind of getting more insights from the person themselves and seeing what they read into it, but you are actually like really channeling it and like everything that you see and download.
Thank you. Yeah, thanks for explaining that. That's awesome. I just want to say too that, and this is just my personal belief, there's no right or wrong way to read tarot. I mean, there's the Rider Waite traditional meanings, which loosely use, to be honest. Like I have my base meaning, but even sometimes that will teach, like a card will completely change its meaning on me. And I'm like, oh, that's speaking to me in a different way. Okay. And it took a while for me to learn to listen to that and realize, oh, there's a reason it's speaking to me in a different way. So I would just say too, like with your own journey with tarot and reading, don't worry about like doing it the right way, because it's more
Yeah,
about, but I love how you
absolutely.
mentioned using it as like a personal growth tool too, because even if you don't do it from like a spiritual tapped in kind of thing, there's so much wisdom in just, doing it from like that personal growth space too.
Absolutely.
Well, thank you so much for joining me today and being my guest of, and being willing to be featured, receiving it. It's been so great. Is there anything you want to share before we end it?
No, it was great. I think I was going to mention what the other readings I had and how it aligns. Yeah, even the cards that I've been pulling for myself, it's like about the waiting game. And it's funny because I pulled the victory and success card as well. So maybe that relates to the transition period is where I'm supposed to be. So I don't have to be somewhere else or get somewhere else. This is like actually where I'm
Mhm.
supposed to be. So I love it how it's all really aligned, and I guess it's supposed to be, right? Like I mean, it's you know, we're not trying to test psychic ability or anything like that, but the idea that cards are actually reflecting on that person and not what somebody else is trying to um fortune tell or anything like that, which we need to remove that misconception, and how the cards can be really used as a tool for confirming what you're already going through and giving some clarity rather than fortune telling. So I love it. Thank you.
Yeah. Oh, thank you for sharing that. That, comparing it to like other past readings, like that's just there to show you that usually that there's like a paper trail, so to speak, where you
Yeah,
could be
paper
like,
trail.
oh my gosh, it's so like, oh, I've been here. I can't tell you how many times I get a reading from someone and I'm like, yep, I know that. I've been hearing that from this person and this person with my own readings. Like it's so funny when you see that, because, and I like to say this too, there's 78 cards in a deck. And so
Yeah,
when you get, with 78 different meanings, and not even including reversals, right? And you get the same meaning over and over, it's like, oh, you better
yeah,
start paying
that's it.
attention,
That's
so,
it.
and it's
Yeah,
confirmation too, makes you kind of start going,
exactly.
okay, maybe those other readings I got were on point.
Yeah, 100%. And it's the same because when I did a reading for myself with the particular deck, the second time round was maybe a month or two afterwards, and I was like, I wonder if I need to do the same reading with this deck, and I did, and I got two of the same cards that I'd had previously. So it's like that reminder. It's like, hey, don't forget this part. It's like, oh man, so cool.
Yes. Yes, that's why I love tarot, because it will
Yes.
be honest with you and it'll be consistent most of the time. So
Love it. Yes,
yes.
exactly.
All right.
Exactly.
Well, thank you again for joining me, and this has been really great.
Thank you so much. Thanks, Sarah.
Thank you for joining me on another inspiring episode. Remember, your purpose is a unique and unfolding path. I hope these conversations have ignited a spark within you. Until next time, keep exploring, growing, and embracing the beautiful adventure of connecting with your purpose. Stay tuned for more meaningful conversations. If you enjoyed the episode today, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. And thank you for joining me on this journey.